if you need some defenses for whatever reason this week, here's a few defenses that could be sleepers to help your fantasy team win this week. The first one is the New York Giants. The Giants, their defense, their front seven has been playing pretty good now the last 5 or 6 weeks. Last week, they didn't have a great fantasy day, though, was this Giant defense with only 3 fantasy points. But before that, they were on a decent streak in Week 9 with 13, Week 10, 8, Week 12, 9, and Week 13 versus a good Seattle offense, 17. And this week they got the Cleveland Browns coming to MetLife Stadium on Sunday Night Football. This game, I think the Giants defense, they could get a couple sacks and they could make plays. This Brown offensive line isn't that strong, even though their strength is their running game. But in this game, I think it's going to be cold weather. It's going to be a windy night also. And I think this Giant defense, they want to redeem themselves after getting embarrassed last week versus Arizona. Plus, it's a primetime game, and they're still in the race for the NFC East. So I think this defense can make a few plays and help your fantasy team. And they are available now, the Giants, in 85% of fantasy leagues. So they're not a bad get. The second defense that could be a sleeper this week's the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, their defense plays a little better at home than it does on the road, and they versus the Buffalo Bills. Even though the Bills, they've been playing great this season, I got a feeling Denver, they can make a couple plays on defense this week like they did last week versus Carolina, where they had a return touchdown and 4 sacks. Even though they gave up 27 points to the Panthers, they still had a 10-point fantasy day, and that's not bad for a defense. And I could see similar type of things happen this week for Denver, where a fluky play or two happens and they reach double digits in this game. Or maybe Josh Allen just could have an off game like we've seen him have a couple times this year. So Denver, they're a defense available also in a crazy amount of leagues at 81%. And if you're in desperation, they're not a bad defense you could use as a sleeper. And the third and final sleeper defense of the week's the New England Patriots. This Patriot defense, we've seen flashes from them at times. They're available in 51% of leagues. And this week they versus the Miami Dolphins. I know the Dolphins went off last week versus Kansas City, and the Patriots D didn't show up really versus the Rams. But 2 weeks ago versus the Chargers, this defense went off with a return touchdown, a block kick, 2 windows, and a pick six, 3 sacks. So they had 39 fantasy points that week was that Patriot defense. And in Bill Belichick's career, his defense, they make plays on rookie quarterbacks, and they hold these quarterbacks down where they can't do much. And I think we see more of the same this week versus Tua in Miami, where this Patriot defense could be good use to you fantasy owners and possibly help you win your semifinal games. So that's 3 defenses I have as sleepers here heading into Week 15.